Degrees of Love Divination. So, thank you for joining me today for another therapy and tarot installment video, if you will, live stream. Also inspired by my friend TJ, who is the creator of the Thoughtful Journey Oracle deck. And every Thursday she does Thoughtful Thursdays, where she does a card pull from her deck. And it's such a beautiful deck. If you haven't seen my video that I interview that I did with her, and the flip through that I did, please go check that out. It's definitely linked in my playlist. I think in my collab video playlist, and as well as I think my flip throughs walkthrough video playlist. But anyway, so today's topic that I wanted to get into is talking about the sort of view of living in survival mode, if you will, and what that sort of looks like from a high frequency sort of point of view. Now, of course, talking about this topic can be very touchy, because I feel like so many of us, well, especially when you're dealing with trauma, and many of us have dealt with lots of trauma in our lives, and you know, many of us are still healing from all of that. Some are still stuck in survival mode, and sort of how I look at what that how I look at that is the idea of living in the lower frequencies, the lower vibrations of society, right? The lower energies, if you will. Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, and hi, welcome. Thank you for joining. So nice of you to join me for this topic today. And of course, with, you know, today being September 11th, we just had our blood moon, the full moon in Pisces, which is the opposing sign to Virgo. And of course, by the way, I am Virgo, and my birthday happened to be yesterday, so I am grateful for another year around the sun. And so I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not sure exactly what you would like me to help you with, Flux Frog, but right now we're talking about living in survival mode, and you know, what that sort of looks like, and especially, you know, when you are stuck in it, you can't always see it, to know exactly what's going on, but sort of looking to explore that, you know, on the different aspects of self, society, right? The collective. And so, yeah, so talking about living in survival mode, and, you know, especially when we're trying to get ourselves out of that, we're trying to, what's the word? Elevate the frequency of the collective. So, yeah. So as I've been sort of exploring this topic for myself, and, you know, trying to understand more about what it's like to live in survival mode, it's what I've come up with is, like, for example, looking at some examples on an individual level. Okay, so what living in survival mode can look like for the individual. Um, and of course, these are things that I myself personally experienced, and so, I'm speaking from, that sort of personal experience point of view as well. But the idea of constant stress and anxiety, um, the body and the mind are always scanning for danger and unable to fully rest. And so I know that for me, especially when I was the tower moment of my life, and I was uh, simultaneously, like, it was grief after grief, and things like that. It came to a point where, you know especially those living with early mental health, hi, welcome, and with early childhood trauma, you know, you become very hyper vigilant, always scanning your surroundings, and depending on what the I'm not exactly what exactly you're trying to say, VJ. Um, I hope that you can keep up, because there's a lot to go through. So, and of course, feel free to watch the playback if any of what I'm saying is getting missed. Um, so, where was I? Yeah, so, when you're dealing with early childhood trauma, and always having to scan your environment, and depending on what your trauma response may have been, right? There's the uh, freeze, flight, fight, fawn, and fawn being the people pleaser, and of course that was my yeah, no, I wouldn't be doing that, VJ. Sorry. But the sorry, what was I saying? My trauma response was people pleasing, right? So, that idea of constantly scanning for danger, and trying to fix an issue where there may not have been an issue to even begin with. But in my head, I created an issue because of the sense, or the miss sense of someone's emotions, right? Which can often happen when you are a person dealing with childhood trauma. You are someone who, feels invisible, who may have been, severely overlooked. You may have been the black sheep of your family, things like that. um well, I'm sorry to hear that. um but if that is something that you're going through and you need to deal with, then, you know uh, pros- professional services is something that you need to contact. Not me. We're talking here about childhood trauma. We're talking about living in survival mode and what that can be like. Um, and hopefully, what we talk about today can be helpful for you on your journey. So, yeah. So, for me, it was my mind and my body. My mind, at some point, with all of the stuff that I was going through, it sped up. Also being neurodivergent, and constantly, you know analyzing, over analyzing, finding myself, stuck in analysis paralysis, if you will, sometimes. Um, but the other thing that I wanted to say too, even when living in survival mode, on a sort of, if from a individual sort of point of view, is that a lot of the time we are so focused on the grind, especially in today's society, with hustle culture and things like that, it becomes, very fast paced, right? And so we're also on an individual level, what ends up happening is you end up with short-term focus, thinking about only the next meal bill crisis, um, instead of long-term dreams, friendships, relationships, etc. um, and often that can lead to things like burnout, exhaustion, running on adrenaline, um, little energy for creativity, for joy, uh, and very little to no tolerance for anybody else's situation except your own, right? And that can lead to to a lot of a disconnect with those around you. So the other thing is, and as I mentioned, the disconnect from, but even, excuse me, from self. um the inability to be able to really hear your intuition and your higher guidance, if you will. When your survival needs are dominating you and your attention. So that can make it very difficult to to really connect with your full self. And even when relating to others, it leads to being reactive rather than responsive. Your communication often comes from fear, anger, like I said, people pleasing, rather than genuine high level, high frequency, unconditional love. On a collective level, how that can look like is, the idea of widespread competition, people hoarding resources, fearing there's not enough to go around. So of course, if we even looking back at, the whole pandemic and what that was like, right? We saw a lot of people, well, right, when everything was shutting down, people were raiding the grocery stores and things like toilet paper. Who knew toilet paper would become a hot commodity? But it did, right? And it was something that was hoarded. It was something that when you went to the grocery store, if you were lucky to even get toilet paper, people were buying it in bulk because they didn't know what was going to happen or what was going to go, what was going to happen tomorrow. So everybody wanted to be prepared, right? And so that in itself can throw a lot of people off. And then not to mention if you're adding in things like mental health concerns, someone who addiction, those who compulsive spending, right? All of those are fear-based, survival mode, reactive decisions, if you will, that are being made for the same reasons, right? Fear, the uncertainty of what tomorrow is going to bring, whether you'd be alive even, so things like that. Also, systemic circles of poverty and equality, institutions that exploit those stuck in survival mode, um, and keeping them there, right? You would have heard me speak about this previously when I mentioned, the idea of that economic divide that we have in society, where the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. You're right, like this, the 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 majority of the world's finances being held by the very few, right? And it's like, in order to succeed, the rest of us have to be crabs in a barrel. No. And then of course, now when we divide that up and further, with discrimination and cultural divides and religious divides, spiritual divides, and all of those things, right? The idea of low empathy culture, when most people are in survival mode, kindness and patience shrink. Everyone's just getting by. It's that idea that, well, oh, you're suffering, well, sucks to be you, because I'm suffering too. So it's like, well, it's like, bypass your worries because mine are more important. Well, no, it's all important. And the only way for us to really, really be able to overcome that is to heal and have that sort of butterflying effect, where we are all recognizing and waking up together and realizing that these old ways of survival, these old ways of functioning, are not serving the highest and greatest good of all, right? And it not being a matter of who is more deserving of said resources, but seeing to it that that everything is divided up in a fairly equal manner. Well, how do we get there, right? Especially when we've been living in the survival mode for so long, for generations, right? It has to take those that are here now, who are conscious now, who are incarnated now, to to take that initiative, to see the system for what it is and want to make the effort to change it, right? But it's not just one person's responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of a few handful of people. It's the responsibility of all of us, right? Starting with self. So the idea of fear-based decisions, politics, economy, and communities, right? Running on scarcity, running on scarcity thinking instead of collaboration. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining. And yeah, so and then especially when we have marginalized groups of society, in previous videos, when I spoke about the divide between neurotypical and neurodivergent, this idea of it's easier for neurotypicals to thrive in a society like this, because the idea of being able to adapt, it's in a way where the mind works, it's easier to, lack of a better word, manipulate into a particular system or structure. Whereas with neurodivergence, because the way that their brain sort of inputs and receives information, and it does this loop-de-loop dance, whatever, it makes it a little bit harder. So those of us who are neurodivergent are not easily conforming. We don't easily conform to well, it depends, I think, on how much, a person will improvise. Right? Like I think, being someone who is a teacher or a leader, or something like that, you have the ability and the capacity to even think on your feet, to when you are receiving the information, and it's like you're doing mental gymnastics, if you will, to be able to sort through the information, to be able to relay it, so to others, in the best way possible, right? So yeah. And where was I going? Hold on. Hold on. Oh yeah. So I was talking about, as I was distracted by the comments, the idea that when we are, I was talking about neurodivergent, the difference between neurodivergent and neurotypical, right? And so and when living in survival mode, and what that can be like for neurodivergence, it's not as easy to be able to 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 conform. And so when we're trying to conform into a society that's designed, for a specific type of people that are, to function, it makes it harder for others. And so then, yes, those things, like burnout, and are more likely to happen, right? Because they're pushing themselves further than the average. Pushing their body, their mental capacities a lot further. But when we, again, sort of, from the societal sort of perspective, when we are living fear-based, we, instead of the idea of competing and you know thinking from a scarcity mindset, rather than collaborating with one another to change things, right? It also ends up stunting our growth. It it art and in innovation, spirituality, um and even human connection are harder to flourish when safety needs aren't being met. Sorry, I had to pause because I was trying to read my own handwriting, because sometimes it comes and yeah. Anyways, uh, yeah, and so yeah, these are some of the things that sort of came up, that I have been thinking about over the past course of the week, the last several days, and then even pulling some cards. So I wanted to I started pulling some cards, actually, for the collective today, and some of the things, even in regards to this topic, and some of the things that started coming up. And so I wanted to share with you what the cards were. So using again the deck by Ashley River Brandt, the Messages from the Heart of the Divine Oracle deck. So I pulled 4 cards, and I'm going to show them to you. So first off, we have Rest Your Mind. We have expanded vision. 39, expanded vision. We have you are the bridge. And the light of your love. So even though I read, I'm going to read the I'm not necessarily going to read all of them. But I want to read out a few with the rituals. And especially there was some other parts in the larger guidebook, which I'll show you again. And this is the additional book that you can get separately, and this is Tending to the Sacred. So I'm going to read from there as well. So as you can see, we have here air, a representation of air here. So 2 air cards. Earth with a bit of fire, I would say, here, even with the circular on the outer side. So sacral, root chakra here. Okay. So I'm going to read, actually, I think I'm going to read the expanded vision. I want to give you guys that. And you are the bridge. So expanded vision, which is 39. Okay. Okay, so 39, expanded vision. When we find ourselves stuck in life or feeling victimized, the remedy is always simply a shift of perspective. When we are stuck in struggle, it is easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. When we are confused or can't find our way through a situation or lesson on our path, the clarity can be found through shifting awareness. We must always remember in times of disconnect and distress to see all occurrences, people, and choices in our lives from the perspective of our higher self, meaning through the lens of divine love. This card is coming to you as a gentle nudge to shift your awareness to align with your higher vision. What are you not seeing from the lens of love? There is a reason for all that happens in your life. Everything in your reality is simply a lesson to return you. Everything in your life Everything in your reality is simply a lesson to return you to your heart. Remember to see all from the highest perspective, highest frequency. Understanding that the harder aspects of life only exist to show us more light. Okay. Here's the ritual. Close your eyes and connect to your breath. Bring your awareness to a glowing ball of light 2 feet above your head. Take notice of its color and how its energy feels to you. Follow this light as it begins to slowly move up through the roof of your home and into the skies above your town. Observe your surroundings from this perspective. Now imagine this ball of light begins to slowly float back down, inch by inch, until arriving back above your head. Imagine this light now starts to move downward, landing softly in your heart. Once at your heart, visualize in the light something or someone you love most in the world. This may be a special memory, activity, pet, or a loved one. See this love radiating in the light of the energy in your heart. Stay with this for a few moments. When you are finished, slowly come back into your body with a few deep breaths, rolling your shoulders and neck, placing your hands on your heart. Carry this perspective with you throughout your day and return to this ritual whenever you are needing to come back into the expanded vision of your heart. Yeah, so I really like that. Um, okay. I guess all right. I am going to read Rest Your Mind. I wasn't going to, but as I happened to flip the page, yeah. So I'm going to read that one for you. Okay. Rest your mind. Our minds are powerful tools, often misused by the conditions and beliefs we inherit as we grow up in this life. It's important to use the mind for its logic and understanding when truly needed. But we create friction when we overanalyze or become locked in our thoughts. We explore the realms of the mind to learn, not to control. This card is coming to you today with the encouragement to give your mind a rest. Have you been navigating too much from the mind lately, forgetting the inner wisdom and power of your heart? This card may also be guiding you to develop a stronger connection to a meditation practice. Your mind doesn't need to be empty or clear, but you must find balance within the mind. For when you are spending too much time in your head, you miss out on the gift of being in the present flow of the heart. This card is guiding you to make peace with your active mind so you can ground into your body and find a greater sense of ease, allowing the heart and the head to melt together as one, to embrace the wholeness of you. So, really putting together the masculine and the feminine, right? The heart and the mind and the body. Ritual. Take a few moments to journal out anything on your mind, any mental to-do lists, chatter, conversations you are having or have had, insecurities, anxieties, or worries, feelings, wonderings, and so on. This practice allows you to instantly clear some mental space so that you can focus on being still and present. Now, with your eyes softly closed, sit with your spine straight, legs crossed, and focus on your breath. You can listen to soft sounds such as nature or healing tones. Light a candle, dab on some essential oils, have a cup of warm lavender tea, or hold your favorite crystal if you feel called to. Though just sitting quietly is perfect too. Simply sit in this stillness for as long as possible, at least 5 to 10 minutes, allowing this practice to cleanse your mind. If you feel your mind wandering, draw your attention back to your breath or connect to your senses. Allow yourself to be present with any challenges that arise as you train your mind to be still. The more you return to this practice, the easier it will become, and the more peace and clarity you will hold. Yes. Yeah. So I absolutely love that. And just to get into the hi Marie, thank you for joining. Welcome. So glad you could be here today with me. Yeah, so of course we've been talking about living in survival mode and what that sort of looks like from a high frequency perspective. What that can look like, individually, what that can look like, within your community, and of course for the collective. So I just pulled a few cards. Well, I didn't just, I actually picked these out this morning. And as I was reflecting on it for today, some of the things that were coming up. And so I just now pulling from the larger guidebook for the messages from the heart of the divine. So I did pull from that last time, and so I wanted to pull from it again. But the hold on, the what I wanted to read here next for you guys. Let me see, was it air? Okay. 93. I'm not gonna read though, because this is a lot, but I'm going to read for you. Okay, so it's not that one. It was okay. So this is the part I wanted to read from the air sign, because we did have rest your mind that came up. Yes, exactly, Marie. I do believe that as well. And even those of us who have woken up and are a little bit more conscious of of our circumstances and how we're living, we often can still dip down. Like I said, right? Healing is not linear, and also, even even if we are, a high frequency being, and we naturally are, that's not to say that we can't, fluctuate, and we cannot, and that we don't oftentimes dip in our vibrations. Our vibrations will often dip. Why? Well, because we live in a world that's already on a low vibrational plane. So, and then when you throw in things like trauma and, programming and generational conditioning, well, all of that, makes for a very interesting life, I guess, if you will. So rest your mind, and you are the bridge, both sort of air things. But I want to read to you this part that came up. And then I just lost it because I closed the book. Silly me. Lana. Oh, here we go. And I love the picture of the butterfly here. Even though it looks like a one-winged butterfly, it's not. It's both wings are here, but it's the way that it's in the book. So anyways, okay. But direction of the east, our inner compass. This is the part I wanted to read. Wind is the element of listening, not just to spirit and its messages, but listening to our own inner compass and intuitive wisdom. I would even add listening to one another. After all, if that's how we live, we listen, we learn, right? Silence is a medicine that teaches us to listen. Silence reveals us to ourselves, allowing us to witness our truth. The ritual of silence can be very uncomfortable at first. We are conditioned to fear the unknown, to fear the truth, and even fear our own thoughts and emotions. Isn't that why we run from our shadows? Just saying. Silence can open space for you to hear your shadows, your fears and insecurities, your roaring ego, your needs and desires, or anything you have not been listening to or holding space for. If you remain silent and listen, you will begin to hear the truth and find healing and power from that truth. Desires can have space to emerge, and clarity can be found in these silent moments. We have to move past all the noise to hear what is true. Well, isn't that true? In order to really hear the divine, we have to be able to move past the clouds. We have to be able to move past that density of survival mode, the lower frequencies of living. When you are feeling disconnected from your inner compass, give yourself the gift of silence. You may choose to start your morning with an hour of silence, go a whole day with silence, or get in bed 20 minutes early and just be silent. True silence means no phones, no books, no words coming in or out at all. Well, I know for some people that can be very difficult. I know it can be for me. Just inner listening, just being. Whatever you choose, stay in your silence for as long as it feels right. Listen to the whispers of your heart. Witness all that is wanting to be said from within. Witness your fears, your pain, your desires, your inner wisdom guiding you. Just observe and don't analyze or try to process everything that emerges. Rest in this silence, holding space for grace and the way Spirit wants to move through you. Yeah. So that was the other thing. And then hold on, the last thing I wanted to read, which also came up is hold on. Oh yes, it was this. Okay. All right. This is chapter 18. Yes, right, Marie? Absolutely. Now this is the part that really got me. This is chapter 18, returning to love. So before we are born into human form, we exist as infinite spirit beings of love. Right? Like I've said previously, we are spirit beings first, humans second. When we make the journey into a body and are born on this earth, we remain that cosmic pure being of love. Hi, welcome, infinite blessings. I was just talking about infinite beings. So us being infinite beings. Love is the only thing we know. But as we grow up and navigate the harsh realities of modernity, we get off track. Somewhere along the way, we abandoned our intuitive knowing, our spiritual power, our magic, and allowed our ego minds to run the show instead of our hearts. That's the survival mode. Ritual can guide us home to the presence of infinite love in our hearts. In connection to this love, we can remember what truly matters in this existence. We remember our purpose, our pleasure, and our passion for living. We remember the interconnectedness of all life, and that the portal to this awakening is through the heart. For love is sacred unity. To truly feel our fullest potential of love, we must work through the belief that we are separate from love, from each other, from the earth, from spirit, and even that our minds are separate from our hearts, and that our darkness is separate from our light. No, it's not. When we perceive ourselves as separate, we remain separate from the potential of love being available to all of us. What it actually says is we remain separate from the potential of love available to us. In the realm of the sacred, there is no class system, no race division, no better or less than. In the realm of the sacred, we witness all common threads that bind us together in holy union. Thank you. I wish to give you infinite blessings. Back to you, infinite blessings. Thank you very, very much. One of the ways our created sense of division shows up collectively is in lack of empathy and connection. Sadly, we often don't care unless something affects us personally. Isn't that true? This is at the root of our earthly imbalances. It is why we take from the earth without recognizing the consequences of how it affects each and every one of us. It's the energy behind our mindless consumerism and pollution. It's why we don't all collectively come together, roll up our sleeves, and get to work to heal when something traumatic happens to our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. Yes, Marie. It's why we judge and compare and project. It's why we sabotage, cheat, and have power struggles in relationships. It's the reason for the 1% patriarchal control, racism, and war. It's why women have been viewed as lesser than men and undervalued for thousands of years. It fuels the borders between countries, races, and hearts. Isn't that what's going on right now? It's epidemic that needs our healing now to restore balance on earth. This is the most important healing work we can do in this lifetime. It is why we are here. In order to create unity, to have peace across nations, reciprocity with our Earth Mother, and union with all that is sacred, we must start with self-union. Bringing our light and our shadow aspects of self into union with one another. The greatest service we can be to the collective and the earth is to do our inner shadow work and show up in union with the self, so we can show up exactly the way the earth needs us to, exactly in harmony with why our soul came here. The earth called us here for this very reason. To heal dense karma that has been building up generation after generation and attacking the earth and her children. When we can each individually heal the belief of separation in ourselves, learning to see all as sacred and one from the heart, we can find harmony in our existence on this planet. This collective healing can truly end wars and heal our planet. It won't be easy. It takes more than love and light, positive thinking, and meditation to achieve enlightenment, as we have often seen modeled in modern spiritual communities. Yes, we can mentally understand this perspective of love and oneness and begin to see the unified nature of all. Yes, we can focus on the positive. However, if we are still judging ourselves or judging anyone else, whether a stranger or family member, whether consciously or subconsciously, we can't genuinely project love and oneness into the collective. If we don't face the shadows within and integrate them with love, we cannot experience true unity. We must do the messy and painful shadow work and face what is hidden in order to embody the light. This energy of separation has been a huge block in our collective for thousands and thousands of years. I'm reading this, but I have been saying this for a long time. Driven by fear of what we cannot see or control, and carried forward generation after generation as the energies accumulate. We collectively lean on the judgment as a form of protection and control in our separation to feel superior, fueled by our fears and doubts. We are afraid to go into our lunar selves, our shadows, and actually face what we need to witness and heal. And these days, judgment seems almost unavoidable with social media, celebrity culture, and various industries deciding what is beautiful and worthy, and the government determining our value based on our beliefs and color of our skin. The energy of fear generated and perpetuated by the patriarchy wants us to feel small and unimportant so they can remain in power and control. That's why we all need to look within and radically return to embodying the love that we are so that we can finally claim spiritual sovereignty. I'm going to read this last part because I can continue to go on. To truly embody unity, we have to start with recognizing the unity in ourselves and seeing ourselves with sacred wholeness for the beings of love that we are, including all of our flaws, wounds, wrongdoings, ancestral wounds, and shadows. From this place, we can begin to see all is one in return. Healing judgment from within is what can bring us home to recognizing the sacred love within, enabling us to see that love reflected external reality. At the root, it is really only love we are separate from. Yes. Yes. So ruminate on that. Let that fill you. The way it filled me listening to it and reading through it. It just brought so many confirmations. So many validations for what I have been feeling for such a long time. So now I actually pulled a using this and this is a deck that I got well, this was a Robin from Robin Reflections made me do this. This is the Tender Reminders. It's 50 healing affirmation cards for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. It's by Jacqueline or Gorchukwu Iyama. I hope I'm pronouncing that right and I'm not butchering it. But this deck, since I started using it, I just feel like it again, everything just sort of being in alignment, you know, and what came up. So, you know, from the 4 cards that I had pulled from the messages, from the heart of the divine, rest your mind, expanded vision, you are the bridge, and the light of your love. And now the 4 cards that I pulled in sort of to collab with that last night that sort of came out. First we have dream. What is my vision for creating a world without white supremacy? Then it had a tender reminder. So this was the first card. And the tender reminder, never let go of your ability to disrupt worlds that do not work for us and dream up worlds that do. And I love that because as soon as I pulled that card, what came up for me is, this is funny because of course I relate everything to, well, I relate a lot, not necessarily everything, but I relate a lot to movies and TV and things like that. And one of the shows that I have been sort of binge watching is well, is no longer in TV, but I think had 7 seasons, I believe, and I'm somewhere in the, I think the middle of, or maybe beginning to middle of the 6th season, and that's SWAT, the television show SWAT, all about well, the police force, LAPD, but you know, they're part of the SWAT task force. And then just sort of, you know, the everyday living in life, as you know, that they've had to deal with as, you know, as police officers, you know, you know, serving the US, serving, you know, very Los Angeles, and dealing with all kinds of people, and you know, all the mental health struggles and things like that that can come up. But the other thing, but in regards to this card that really sort of that right away sort of went ding ding in my head was a recent movie that came out on Netflix. Now this this really tickles my inner child, if you will, because it's and I'm sure you're probably gonna laugh. And yes, I am a nerd, and my inner child is alive and well. She always is. And that's the K-pop Demon Hunters. So if you haven't seen that show, that movie, it's actually, even as quirky and stuff as it is, you know, very teeny boppy-ish kind of movie, it has a lot of deep symbolism, even for, you know, addressing a lot of what's going on spiritually these days. Yes, right, exactly. And so it's definitely important to embrace your inner child. Exactly. Because your inner child is the one that remembers where they are from. They remember that they are part of divine source. They are the ones that remember. So tuning in and healing the inner child is so important. This is so important for this work. And I feel like so many people have because of survival mode, have buried that inner child deep, deep, deep down. And it's connecting back to that part of self that I feel is the key to unlocking the truth of self. Yeah, and anyway, so checking out K-pop Demon Hunters, and of course letting me know what you think, because I honestly feel like that was true symbolism in that movie. I won't give anything away. If you have seen it and you know what I'm talking about, yay, let me know in the comments, or even, if you're watching this on playback, down in the description box. Because yeah, and I feel like that's something, well, K-pop Demon Hunters is something that I would like to unpack and talk about sometime again on the Spiritual Void, when I do my next episode, whenever that will be, and whoever that will be with. But yeah, like it's anyways, such a great movie, and very powerful too. I watched it a few times, and yes, I did bawl, because my inner child is very sensitive, and there you go. So that's what happened. But as much as I did, I sung along. There, I've watched it more than once. Listen, okay. So yeah, go check that out. But the next card that came up, and sort of addressing expanded vision, is this tender reminder. So this is another dream card, and it said, okay, dream. What is the first thing I would do in a racist-free society? So even asking, the collective to reflect on some of these things as well, right? Tender reminder. While it's difficult to envision what freedom feels like in an oppressive society, remember that there is a world where we are free. If we can imagine it, we can live it. So, another great thought there. Another one here is, okay, this one is institutional. What are some loveless institutions we need to abolish? Oh my God, this was such a big one for me when this came up, and and of course the thoughts, even now as I'm reading this card here, and it happens to be on 2, which is you are the bridge. So even just right away, what comes up for me is the thought of religious trauma. And it is long, Marie, it is. But one of the things that came up is the idea of religious trauma, and dogmatic religious programming, and and how along the way these institutions get infiltrated and become a burden rather than a blessing. But that is because of that sort of idea to conform, that patriarchal conformity and control, sense of control, right? That ends up happening and coming up. So the fact that we are the bridge, we are the bridge to our own spiritual connection to the divine. The idea of these institutions, needing these institutions to be the bridge for us to our spirituality. No, we are the bridge. Our bodies, our vessel, who we are in human form is, in fact, the bridge. So again, something else to think about, the relationship that we have, you know, to our spirituality is a very personal one. And seeking that refuge within self, not within an institution to tell you how to do it. We need guidance, we need leaders, we need experienced people to show us the way sometimes and to help guide us through. But that's more of a collab of beings than an actual body or institution, right? That's more, to me, that's more community. So here's the tender reminder for this question, for institutional. What are some loveless institutions we need to abolish? Here's your tender reminder on the back. Any institution that actively works against loving you, that wants you to feel less respected, less whole, less free, needs to be dismantled. So that was the other one. And then we have interpersonal. What racist assumptions are made about me based on my appearance? Well, that's a big one. And then we have tender reminder. People's racist judgments about you say more about who they are internally than about who you are externally. So remembering that, especially when stuck living in survival mode, we want to get past that. How do we get past that? We get past that by recognizing our everything about us, our shadows, our lights, the parts of us that are quick to judge, those of us that look to point fingers but never looking to directly take the dirt out of our own eyes. Yes, right, Amiri, I do. I love this exactly. The tender reminder, and I'll read it again. People's racist judgments about you say more about who they are internally than about who you are externally. But I also feel like that goes to many different things, not even just, right? Because we can do that even amongst same cultures, right? Like that idea of competition, of crabs in a barrel, like I said, when you've been programmed and you've been traumatized to into survival, even of people of color, being conditioned to see each other as bottoms of the barrel. And so anyone trying to rise out of that bottom of the barrel is basically clawing at anybody and everybody else who's trying to do the same thing. And that just, again, keeps us stuck in the same repetitive cycle of trauma, right? Of survival mode, in the lower frequencies of division. So, that's something else to think about too. Now, I want to pull one. Well, actually, I'm going to pull a couple more cards, but I'm going to pull from, because of course it is Thoughtful Thursday, and in therapy and tarot. And I love the idea of Thoughtful Thursday that TJ Malign, if you again haven't seen that video that I did with the creator of the Thoughtful Journey deck. And like I said, I do have a pending giveaway. So, thank you to all who have, to date, who brought me to 222 subscribers. I feel blessed, and it's been a long healing journey for me. And every step that I take in progression is something for me to celebrate, considering how far and how long this healing journey has been for me. And so I don't take any of the support that I get lightly. I'm very grateful for it all. And and so because of that, and because of the work that I am looking to do and how important it means to me, I want to share that with all of you. So, help me to get to 333 subscribers, and that will be when the next giveaway will be triggered. And this time it would be for a copy of this beautiful deck, the Thoughtful Journey Oracle, by fellow Canadian creator, dancer, so, and of course this time it would be for the opportunity for 3 lucky subscribers to win a copy of the deck. So thank you, guardian angels, ascended masters, and teachers. Thank you to the divine, your guidance, your love. What do we have for the collective today, please? What messages do we have for the collective today? So, ooh, I love that. Okay, so we got space. We got space, and this is actually card 33, master number 33. I love how, expansive. So we have even the watercolor, we have blue, we have purple. So to me, this really speaks to the throat, and the crown chakra. So, getting the clear messages from the divine, the understanding of, our higher perspective, who we are at our very core, and communicating that effectively and with love. So, and having the freedom and the space to be able to do so, pass the cloud of survival mode. Up here, the air is fresher, it's clean. We can breathe. We can live abundantly. Yes, they are very beautiful. They are very beautiful. And then on the bottom of this deck, we have, again, still, but a little bit now we have a little bit of pink showing on the bottom of the card, and this one is synchronicity. And synchronicity is all around us. So here we go. Bringing our light and our shadow into balance, into harmony, our masculine and our feminine, our heart and our minds in balance, unity. and the freedom to express ourselves authentically. So that is what, and I'm going to read from this so you can get the deck for the space card, 33. I'm going to read that. Actually. Okay. Okay, so space 33. And you're welcome to look up the master number 33. I don't remember what the meaning is right now off the top of my head. Okay, 33 space. When you look up at a dazzling night sky, yes, they are very powerful. When you look up at a dazzling night sky, you see the vastness of outer space. Even our small region of the universe, beyond Earth's atmosphere, encompasses an astronomical expanse that scientists are still discovering. The cosmos provides plenty of room for shooting stars, planets, and spaceships. It's never crowded or dense. Use this idea to help your mind understand that it's essential to create space in your life so you can be that shining star you envision. To stay burning bright, you must be willing to clear out cluttering thoughts and unproductive habits. Make space for your brilliant ideas to take hold and shoot forward in your personal galaxy. Unload anything that is not serving you, which includes anything that adds stress or worry. These emotions will not aid your self-growth. You have drawn this card to urge you to create more space. Is your galaxy so crowded that you're unable to find time for yourself? When you let go and make more room for you, the universe will bring you something better that aligns with your desires. Make space for happy moments and the people you love, which will become your best memories in life. Get rid of the clutter in your life and make time for you and your loved ones. The dancer is dancing among the stars and floating with the planets, feeling the freedom of space around her. And that's on page 82. And I love the synchronicity of that because I'm born in 1982. And I'm born on the 10th. So yesterday was my birthday. And yeah. And I am a karmic cycle baby breaker. Karmic cycle breaker baby. That's what I meant to say, but anyways, whatever. Yeah, so I really love that. And I wanted to pull one last card from the Unveiled Tarot. This is a deck that I've had but just pulled out actually to do a reading for someone. Thank you, Marie. Thank you. And and the way that it read was absolutely wonderful. And if you haven't seen my tarot tag that I did with Ravneet from Winds of Reflection, please check that out. We did a tarot tag, and that was hashtag a tarot revolution. So that is definitely up on my channel for you to check out. And this was one of the choices that Ravneet had there on her thing. But this is a deck that I've had as well. And so I felt called to pull it out this time. And so here we go. So let's see what card here that we should be mindful of as well. See what tarot cards come out. What do we need? What is hidden that collective needs to know? Okay, so we have the... Okay. Things that came out here is we have the King of Wands and the Queen of Swords. Yes, thank you, Marie. Also, my age adds up to 7, which is symbolic for the Chariot card. So, of course, bringing into harmony the light and shadow, right? Aspects of self, working in tandem and unity. So here we have the King of Wands, and we have the Queen of Swords. So here, to me, what I see here is this idea that here we have, above the crowd, we have this ordinary man who's sitting there, but underneath there, if you can see, what looks to be dressed in royalty, right? So on the surface, here's someone who's standing out in the crowd, right? Passionate, looks ordinary on the outside, but on the inside, what people don't see is their sense of royalty, right? This person is above the masses. So of the masses, but rising above it. So that idea of escaping the survival mode, if you will, putting our passions to better use for the greatest and the highest good of all, starting with self, right? Here we have the Queen of Swords. So also recognizing that, here we have someone who is, dressed as royalty, a very upstanding queen who knows about who she is, right? But underneath, we can see the pain, we can see the sorrow that she's carrying. So that understanding that, as much as we may want to believe that we are superior to one another, our trauma humbles us. Using that pain within to fuel for change, for a better, brighter future. That idea of dreaming big, right? The questions that came up for in the tender reminders about the division that we are living in. Bringing the masculine and the feminine back into balance. But here we have wands, so that's the fire energy here. Our passions, our desires, our roots, with our mind. And of course, this being king and queen, so that's about the maturity and the mature aspects, both the feminine and masculine mature aspects of self, with mind and body. Then we can achieve this space, this glorified space, and elevate from survival mode. So we can get back in harmony and in truth, raise the frequency of the collective. That's what all of this uproar is about. It's the purging that's going on, right? So before I wrap this all up, because it's already been an hour and 25 minutes, but I wanted to quickly share with you, and I said I was going to do this during this live, and just again sort of talking about synchronicities and things like that, and how wonderful, I feel like this healing journey has been, even with all its trials and tribulations and sorrows and disappointments and whatever, that all of these teachable moments and life lessons about friendship, about love, about trauma, about who we are to our core. And just feels like a personal confirmation about my journey and who I know myself to be. I talk about discovering myself at my core being love, and and so embodying love and embodying that. And as I've been doing that, getting these loving confirmations from the divine, if you will. And so what came up most recently, and just the timing of it all, the beloved Robin of Robin Reflections, she had hosted a giveaway on her channel. She's another content creator who does tarot reviews, and so on and so forth. And it's something about the way she does her reviews as well, and her sharing her knowledge and for some of these tools, and and a lot that has helped me even on my journey, and even as I've sort of been working to build my practice. There's been a few decks that I have that I would consider Robin made me do it, if you will. And there are other great creators out there, and content creators out there who influence me too, and we influence each other, but anyways, so Robin had partnered with Hay House for a giveaway of on her channel, and it was for Abiola Abrams' newest deck and book, which is Divine Frequency. This is Hay House publication, and it was sent. It was a giveaway that I won, and sent to me by Hay House. And it's something that I've been wanting for, and has been on my list. And I'm so grateful that that not only did I win the giveaway, but that the giveaway actually arrived on my birthday. So I received my gift on my actual birthday. So that was really cute, and I love that. Yes, I know, right, Marie? Yeah, and so anyways, so I'm very grateful to be able to have won this. So I not only did I win the Divine Frequency deck, and I just feel like it's so perfect because we're talking about high frequency healing, right? We're talking about elevating consciousness, and the raising the frequency and the vibration of the collective. So what better than to get this book by a very melanated queen, Abiola, and and her creation. The forward is done by Colette Baron Reed. So harness the magic of universal laws for transformation, for manifestation, and freedom. So that I got, and of course, so you would have seen this already on my, yes, exactly. Thank you, Marie. Yes. And of course, you would have seen me use this deck already on my channel. I've used it a few times in readings, and I already had this deck, the African Goddess Rising. So this is my copy that I had and purchased. This is the full-size copy. Um, and of course also that I already had, which is Abiola's second deck, which is the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle. Also I've used this and absolutely love this. But then in the part of the giveaway, so along with the book, I received her newest deck, which is Faces of Oshun. And if you don't know about the spirit of Oshun, being the energy, being a spirit being, and deity that of love. This is what the Faces of Oshun is really about. And so just again, the synchronicity of all of that, and with this deck. And I can't wait to get in to use it. I'll probably pull a card later from this deck, and maybe do a video with all her decks and the book. So stay tuned for that on my channel. So yeah, so I got the newest copy, full-size copy of, because I don't think there's not a mini copy of this right now, but the Faces of Oshun. And then, because I love mini decks, and of course, the mini deck to the deck I already have, which is the full size, which is the African Goddess Tarot, Pocket Oracle, African Goddess Rising Pocket Oracle. And yeah, and it's so cute. And the box is kind of the same as it is the same as the larger version. But the cards, look how cute the cards are. I love small decks. I just love small decks. So I'm really excited to use them. I couldn't be any more excited and grateful. Like I said, the synchronicities that just came up, and there were 3 pieces to the giveaway. This is my 3 Degrees of Love channel. Like, I just like the number 3, which is my life path number. So there's a lot of synchronicities in there for me personally. So I'm over the moon. I am grateful. And I want to thank everyone for who's dropped in, who's said hello, who's participated in, in the live chat. Thank you, Marie, for being here, and for all of you who have popped in and out and who will be catching this on playback. I want to thank you so, so much for joining me today. And, like I always say, and I feel is so fitting, even, with this, and why I say what I say, and that is, thank you, Marie. Yes, I probably will. Thank you. Yeah, and that is that I am love, and so are you. As I see myself as human, I know you are too. So with all that we've discussed today, with all that's, we've reflected upon, please, please take care of yourself and one another. And while you're at it, don't forget about me too. Please like, share, and subscribe. Join me, next time I do a live, and comment down below. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll always be in the know when I post my next video. And also, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, you can do so. The link for that is also in my description box. So that's another way that you can support me on this channel, help to keep me motivated in keep showing up and doing this healing work with all of you. I'm already motivated to do it. You know, slowly starting because, you know, still moving with some fear. Not gonna lie, I'm human. You know, and even as I go through my own healing journey, there are certain things that are gonna still come up. And you know, and one of the biggest things is me not wanting to burn myself out, because I already been there, did that, barely survived, wasn't pretty, and I would never wish it on my worst enemy. I don't even think my worst enemy would probably be able to survive it, because I barely did. So, right? So with all that being said, again, thank you so much. Please, until next time, remember to always check your privilege, mind your magic, and as always, live, listen, and learn. I love you so, so much. Bye, everybody. Take care.